Alright, you guys, so except you've been living under a rock, you must have heard that the Nico Williams to BarcelonaNews deal collapsed spectacularly. And we need to talk about it. But first, if you haven't seen my face and you don't know who I am, hi guys, I am Just Max, and on this channel we talk about football from the La Liga to the Prem, and definitely a whole lot about FC Barcelona, because on this channel it's always going to be Visca Barça for me, as I am a culé. But before I get into today's video, I want to take a moment to pay respects to Diogo Jota and his brother, who suddenly passed away in a very tragic accident this week. This was such a very unexpected thing. It just reminds us of the fragility of the human life. I woke up to that news and I could not believe that somebody that I just watched in the UEFA Nations League finals a few days ago is no longer with us. The idea that we will no longer see this man, we will no longer enjoy his talent, he will no longer grace our screens, is very difficult. The entire football world is in mourning. The entire Liverpool organization is in mourning, and definitely his wife, whom he just married a few weeks ago. Oh my days, I am so sorry for your loss. The kids who will grow up only hearing stories of their father and never remembering who he is. I am so sorry for your loss. For the parents who lost 2 kids on the very same day, this is so heartbreaking, and nobody should ever have to go through this. I am so sorry for your loss, and I pray that the grace of God that supersedes all understanding be with you and your family, and may the gentle souls of all the faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. And now, Nico Williams to FC Barcelona. What a story, what a tragedy, and what a spectacular turnaround. Because 1 minute the club is ready to activate Nico Williams's release clause to become an FC Barcelona player, and next thing, everybody, including FC Barcelona, is learning via a social media post by Athletic Club that Nico Williams has extended his contract up until 2035. And you might be asking, how can this be? How did this happen? How did we get here? Well, let's talk about it. Because last week on my channel, I talked about the fact that Barcelona are very close to making this deal happen. I also gave a rundown about the way the Athletic Club fans are reacting to the deal, especially the fact that Nico Williams's mural had been defaced not once but twice within the space of a week. And then the spectacular turnaround that he will indeed be staying with Athletic Bilbao, becoming one of the club's highest earners, and of course, you know, increasing that release clause from 60-something million to I think 100 million now. It was quite stunning. But for me, what makes this a little bit more comical is the fact that Nico Williams himself was the one who approached FC Barcelona, talking about he wanted to join, you know, the Catalan side. He was ready to come to the club. Nico Williams was not on FC Barcelona's radar this season. I mean, last season they were heavily linked. He was interested in FC Barcelona was interested in having him come to the club. Of course, that didn't happen because Barcelona could not give registration guarantees, and I did not blame him then. The club's finances were dire. Things were not looking quite bright, and so I did not blame him for not wanting to risk his future to come to a club that wasn't sure that they would be able to register him. However, Juan Laporta did say last season that once the train left the station, it is gone, it's never coming back. But Nico Williams did stun everybody when he came to Barcelona. You know, he had the meeting with Bayern Munich and then suddenly made the turnaround, and we're hearing in the media that, you know, Nico Williams is desperate to join Barcelona. He's seen the light, apparently. He wanted to join the club. He realized he made a mistake, and he's all in for FC Barcelona. No guarantees required, just wants to be at the club. Now, at the time, I asked the question, what changed? Why the sudden quick turnaround for Nico Williams, who wanted all these guarantees last season, to now the Nico Williams who is saying, I want to be an FC Barcelona player, no ifs, ands, or buts. But also, I must admit that in my excitement, I didn't probe deeper into my own question, because if I had probed deeper into my question, then perhaps I might have seen that it was too good to be true. Yeah, it was. it was too good to be true, because not long after the whole saga started, Barcelona is listening to talks with Nico Williams and his agent. Everything is going well. We're going to activate the contract. Of course, Athletic Club were not willing to give up their shining star. Without a fuss, there was a lot of, catastrophe here and there. They even levied a complaint to La Liga against Barcelona, talking about the fact that they were being disrespectful, and of course they wanted to probe deeper into the Barcelona finances, because surely Barcelona could not be able to sign Nico Williams given the shaky financial situation that Barcelona were on. Now, I must mention that since then, Barcelona have since returned to the one-to-one rule and can now sign players like every normal club, be that as it may. I also want to highlight the fact that the Athletic Bilbao fans too were also stunned, because everybody was sure that Nico Williams will be joining Barcelona this summer. They had the FaceTime mirror. I talked about it in my video last weekend. If you did not see that video, go back and watch it. I'm going to link it somewhere in the description. Go back and watch that video. I talked about all of that, and I talked about the way, the toxicity between the player and the fans, and the fact that we need to get the deal moving, because for his own mental health, it just didn't make sense for him to be at Athletic Club next season. And then I woke up to the news this week that, in a stunning change of direction, in a wonderful 360 that no one could see coming, including FC Barcelona themselves, who were gearing up to activate his release clause, who had all the contracts lined up up until 2031, who had everything ready to go in the club's offices. They learned, just as the same thing that as I was learning, as everybody else was learning, that Nico Williams will be staying at Athletic Club until 2035. It was very stunning. And honestly, I cannot hate him, even as much as it stings. It stings only because of the time wasted. It stings only because of, it was so unnecessary. But also, the game is the game. And I say that on TikTok. The game is the game. He played the game. He won the game. He got himself a higher release clause. He got himself a higher salary, but at what cost? Now, mind you, Nico Williams had renewed his contract last season. He was not scheduled for another contract talks, but because he was in talks to leave the Bax club to join either Barcelona and Bayern Munich, he got himself a new deal, a better deal, and I don't hate it for him. I love it. Reason being, anybody who has ever held a job knows that once you get a better deal, and maybe you love the company that you're currently with, the most thing that makes sense is to say, hey, I've got a better deal from this company. They're willing to pay me X, Y, and Z amount of money. Can you match that, or can you do better, for me to stay, or else I walk? And that's essentially what he did. He played the game. He took the deals from Bayern Munich and FC Barcelona and looked at Athletic Bilbao and said, okay, this is what they're offering me. What can you do? And Athletic Bilbao, who were panicking and did not want to lose their star, they offered him a new contract 1 year after offering him another new contract. And it's very stunning. It's a wonderful piece of negotiation from his agent, from everybody involved. However, I do think that it was a big mistake from the player. Hear me out. Yes, I am a Kool-Aid. I would not lie about that. That's the truth. I am a Kool-Aid, and I always want to see the best players at my club. That is true. However, we must not ignore the fact that Athletic Club will not come more than fourth in the league. And it's not even me being shady, it's just facts. Athletic Club have not won the league since the 80s. They're just returning to the Champions League for the first time in God knows how long next season. They have won a few Copa del Rey here and there, but is that enough to guarantee that's a success? No. At Barcelona, you're expected to be competing for every silverware season in, season out. And that's the same at Real Madrid. So we know that the top two spots at La Liga is going to be coveted by either Barcelona or Real Madrid next season. And now looking at the way Atletico de Madrid are moving in the transfer market, we know that they are building a team that can rival Barcelona or Real Madrid next season. So the first three positions in La Liga are already accounted for. It's either going to be Barcelona, Real Madrid, or Atletico de Madrid, which leaves only fourth position left. And that's even if Athletic Club is able to manage that. Now, this season, stunning. They were able to do it. They will be in the UEFA Champions League next season. But historically, they haven't been able to achieve that. That's why they've been in the Europa Leagues all this time. So all of this to say, you had the opportunity to go to a bigger stage, to play where the lights are brightest, to compete for titles, to, you know, expand your brand to a worldwide audience, to become more internationally recognized. And then you chose to be a local hero. Now, I'm not going to front you. It is fine. That's okay too. According to the words of Szczesny, if you say no to FC Barcelona, it means you don't have the balls for the challenge. And that's fair. Not everyone does. And my boy chose to be a local hero as opposed to going against the grain and going on to be an international superstar. He's going to miss out on the opportunity to win silverwares. He's going to miss out on the opportunity to play with his friends. He's going to miss out on the opportunity to, you know, expand his horizon, expand his ceiling, be in the competition for individual titles as well. But at least he's going to be a hometown hero, so that's fine. You know, that's okay. You know, it's okay. Congratulations. And the thing that made it so funny for me, watching all of this unfold in real time, is how the whole announcements was being branded as the good guys won. And I'm like, it's a business. There are no good or bad guys. Like, it's just business. Barcelona wanted to buy a player. The player opted to stay. It's a business. Because make no mistake, Nico Williams needed Barcelona more than Barcelona needed Nico Williams. It's just the facts. Nico Williams did not come to Barcelona last season. Barcelona ended up winning La Liga, the Copa del Rey, and the Supercopa. They were one game shy of the UEFA Champions League finals. They had a successful season without him. Now, with him, they could have gone on to win everything. But with him, Athletic Bilbao, they couldn't beat Manchester United. And Manchester United came in 16 in the Premier League. With him, Athletic Bilbao were only able to come in 4th in the La Liga. So no, Nico Williams needed Barcelona more than Barcelona needed Nico Williams. So it's not the good, it's okay, you stay here, but now we need to focus on other things. We need to turn our focus into the future. So Barcelona fans, it's all right. There's no need to crash out. There was only one player worth crashing out over, and that was Lionel Messi. And we already did that. So no need to crash out over this failed transfer saga. We've moved on. For me, I don't want to see Barcelona coming back next season to talk about no, we're not doing this with you, Nico Williams, next season. That ship has well and truly sailed. Because in the words of Johan Cruyff, the moment you had second thoughts about joining FC Barcelona, you are no longer of service to us. And that's on period. Now, looking on to what's next. Nico Williams, the deal is no longer on the table, but we need to sign players. We need to reinforce the squad because the season is getting longer, the games are getting more intense. We need a bigger squad to be able to make sure that we're able to compete at all levels. Now, we saw the impacts of fatigue on our squad towards that November, December period when the team dipped significantly. We realized during this whole saga, or at least I did, that we were playing Russian roulette by having only Rafinha able to play effectively in that left wing position, and we saw the over dependency on Lamine Yamal. So we do need players to come in who can play on the wings, at least to relieve some of the pressure on these two high quality players. And so right now, the names that have been floated on the table is Luis Diaz and Marcus Rashford. Now, as much as I hate to say it, Barca is either going to sign one of those two players. Now, I do hate it for my team. Reason being, I know everyone talks about all the things that they could bring to Barcelona, but I've just never been impressed. There's just something missing for me in those. Now, let's talk about Marcus Rashford. Marcus Rashford has stated every which way that he would love to play with Lamine Yamal. He wants to be a Barcelona player, but I don't know. I don't see him as a FC Barcelona coded player. Now, you might tell me he's a wonderful player. He can cut through defense. He can spread the play. He can, you know, he's very good in that outlet, and maybe he will even be wonderful in being able to, you know, break down defenders and low blocks and, you know, giving Barcelona a different outlet in terms of the attack and all of that wonderful stuff. And I will probably agree with you, but for me, I will always cite that consistency. Marcus Rashford, in my opinion, within the last few seasons hasn't given consistency. He hasn't given the best of himself. Now, when you are at a club like FC Barcelona, you need to be on every single week. There is no room for mistake. There is no room for, oh, your form didn't show up. No, the lights are brightest at Barcelona and Real Madrid. You cannot have a week off. So is Marcus Rashford what I'm looking for, especially when I'm looking for a player who's going to be dedicated and play for the badge? I don't know that. I don't know that. But then again, I'm not expecting him to be a starting player for Barcelona. He's never going to bench Rafinha. Nor is he going to be able to bench Lamine Yamal. Like, he can't. So maybe he does make sense as a backup option only for squad depth. But also there's something about him that I'm just not... I guess in recent season, the fact that Barcelona has been seen as a lifesaver is something that aches me a little bit. I might be a little bit petty here. This is not really a footballing reason why I'm not really interested in this player. But hear me out. Like, for the last few seasons, maybe 2 seasons or more, when teams are really looking to offload players, or when teams are really looking to move on problematic players, FC Barcelona seems to be like the ideal destination, because Barcelona are looking for the cheapest options, the cheapest players, this and that and the other, and that just pisses me off. Like, we saw that with João Cancelo, we saw that with João Felix, and it's not to say that I don't like João Cancelo, because y'all know I love Cancelo down, and I will be happy to see him come back to Barcelona. But I don't just like that whole, like, let's save a damsel in distress kind of vibe that we have been giving off lately. I really want us to get players that, you know, match our vibe, that match our energy. And right now, I don't know that that's Marcus Rashford. For Luis Diaz, he's a little bit more, you know, different for Marcus Rashford. I think that he's a quality player, but I don't also think that he's a Barcelona kind of player. Hear me out, because I also think that he brings a lot. He's very good at dribbling. He can break down low blocks. Playing in England, of course, you see a lot of those kind of low blocking situation in England. I think that he could be wonderful. I think that he has some things to bring, but again, that consistency, and plus after that significant injury that he had, I don't think that he's been the same kind of player that he was in the past. I think that many of his value comes from who he was or what he's been able to do since prior to the injury. So I don't really know that I trust this player in terms of being a Barca player. I don't know. It just there's just something not there for me yet, and I cannot put it in footballing terms, because he has so many attributes. He could play with his right, he could play with his left. You know, he could dribble, he could spread defenses. Definitely, he had a very good goal scoring contribution for Liverpool. He was part of the Premier League winning side, but I don't know. But also, we also have to consider the fact that this is even not the best time to be negotiating with Liverpool. The organization is devastated by the loss of Diogo Jota and his brother, obviously, which, by the way, class act. I did see in the news somewhere that they are committed to paying out the 2 years of his contract to his family, and I was like, wow, that's just wonderful. I'm so glad that they are doing that. But as you can tell, like, it's not the right time. They're probably not thinking about negotiating at all. But even prior to now, they'd already said that, you know, Luis Diaz is not for sale. They'd already rejected Barcelona's first offer, Bayern Munich's offer as well, if I remember correctly. So it's just not a good time for them. But even if they wanted to negotiate, there was a moment that in the past, we've seen that that fee was going to be close to 100 mil, which Barcelona doesn't have to spend. So it's still a very expensive option. It's hard, because we do need to expand that squad depth, but I would not be recommending that Barcelona pay that transfer fee for Luis Diaz. So it's looking more like Marcus Rashford than Luis Diaz, because Marcus Rashford is more the easier option. He's going to be a loan transfer. Probably the way that Manchester United are looking to want to ship him off, they'll probably be happy to pay half of his wages if Barcelona negotiate properly, if not all of it even. So it's looking more likely to be Rashford. But hear me out. Is there an opportunity for us to consider bringing in a right back and a left back? The reason being, for me, I felt like Barcelona, we saw last season when Jules Koundé and Alejandro Balde were out of commission, that we did not have sufficient coverage for those people. We could not get combination plays between Lamine Yamal and, I want to say, Gerard Martin or Hector Ford, whoever was playing that role, you know. And the same thing was for Rafinha, because they just were not high caliber players that were looking to, like, attack. and it kind of stunted our attack a lot. And especially in that Inter Milan game too, we saw like that mistake from Gerard Martin, which technically is not a mistake, it's a refereeing error. I'm going to stand 10 toes down on that. But we saw that Barcelona's defense let in way too many goals, and many of it came from the wings. It came from the wings. So is there an opportunity for Barcelona to like save money, get a fullback or wing back, instead? That way we can shore up quality substitutions for Koundé and Balde, ensuring that they have more rest, because Koundé has been a very, very good servant for the club. He's played almost every game in that right back position, and he's not even a right back. He's not. You know, we do need to consider that. And then next season, we need to consider the fact that we also need to sign a striker, because obviously this is going to be Robert Lewandowski's last season as a Blaugrana. There's so much to think about, and honestly, maybe this Nico Williams deal falling through is not the worst thing that could happen, actually. Because now that I think about it, earlier on when we wanted to talk about, you know, bringing Nico Williams to the club, it was always about, oh, maybe we could move Rafinha here, do this and do that and do that. So maybe it's not the best thing that could happen. This is just me rambling and putting my thoughts together after having some time now to rest and understand what has happened, and to just not crash out about it because whatever, you know. But let me know what your thoughts are about everything that I've spoken about. I'm just a girl at the end of the day who likes Barca, who likes football, and I've just given you my thoughts. But what are your thoughts about this Nico Williams to Barca situation, the stunning collapse of this deal? Did you see it coming? Could you tell? Let me know in the comment section. And until next time, bye guys.